Alright, hello, my name is Corthia Hall, and I'll be talking about chapter 12.5 and 12.6. Alright, starting off with chapter 12.5, responding to price attacks by competitors. Rather than emphasizing the lowest price, most business marketers prefer to compete by providing superior value, as the lowest price is not always better. But that's always not going to work, as marketing managers face constant pressure from competitors who are willing to use price concessions to gain market share or enter into a profitable market segment. And that usually when this happens, marketing managers immediately want to fight back and match the price cut, which isn't usually always the best idea. Continue on with responding to price attacks. We usually, like I said in the last slide, was that how just immediately slashing the price is usually not the best idea because it can actually be quite costly. And that experts usually suggest a more systematic process that considers the long run strategic consequences versus the short-term benefits of the pricing decision. And that you should never set the price up simply to meet some immediate sales goal, but instead to head to long-term project goals, which is basically just saying that you just don't want to cut the price and hope that the people will immediately just start buying your product, but you want to uh, set yourself up for long-term goals. And that a quote by George E. Chrisman Jr. and Thomas T. Nigel is saying that pricing is like playing chess. Players who fail to envision a few moves ahead will almost always be beaten by those who do, which is always true when it comes to business, as you always want to be thinking several steps ahead instead of taking it day by day, as you constantly want to come up with new ideas and new goals to beat, and that if there anything was something to happen, you want to be ready for anything. When moving on to evaluating a competitive threat, you're really just thinking about this figure, and now this figure provides a systematic framework for developing strategy when one or more competitors have announced price cuts or have introduced new products that offer more value to at least some of your customers. Now this figure it just shows like a whole bunch of questions to ask yourself in your business, and the best way to attack the competitive threat. Continue on evaluating a competitive threat to determine whether to reduce the price to meet a competitor's challenge. You should address four important questions. The first question is there a response that will cost you less than preventable sales loss? Which just means that you want to pick the best option, which is going to save you money, but also beat out your competitor. The second question is if you respond, is the competitor willing and able to merely reduce the price again to restore the price difference? Which just means that will the competitor be willing and ready again to cut the price once you cut your price, and that you have to know when to stop because you just don't want to keep cutting price to the point where you're not making any money. The third question is, will the multiple response that may be required to match the competitor's price still cost less than avoidable sales loss? Which just goes back to the first question. Is there any other response that will cost you less than preventable sales loss? Which is uh, just saying that there will be, like, the competitor will most likely be ready to cut their price again, and that is, are you sure that this is the best response to do it? And the fourth question is their position in any other market, product, or geographic at risk if the competitors increase market share? Does the value of all the markets that are at risk justify the cost of the strategy response? Which just means that you want to look at the market segment, and there's like, are you really in danger if your competitor cuts the price, and that is anything really going to happen if you try to combat this? And yeah. Moving on to understand the rules of competitive strategy. You want to effectively deal with an aggressive competitor, you must not only have the willingness to fight, but you have to understand that it takes a lot of competitive strategy, understanding of when and what is the appropriate response to a competitor's price cut. And the appropriate response must be either to ignore it, accommodate it, or retaliate, which you could go back using that figure to understand what is the best way to combat that strategy. Continue on with understanding the rules of competitive strategy. George E. Cressman and Thomas T. Nagel offer the guidelines for competitive strategy development. The first guideline was to never participate in a competitive strategy. You cannot win. You want to fight those battles where you have competitive strength and avoid those where you're clearly at disadvantage, which just means that you just don't want to go in at a battle and just fight when you know like you cannot win, as this is your business and most likely your livelihood, is that you basically just want to be smart about it. The second guideline is you always want to participate in competitive engagements from a position of advantage. You don't want to fight by competitors' rules, which is, from my understanding, is just saying that like you want to fight by your own rules. Is basically like this is your business. They're trying to get rid of you. So basically, you want to fight at your own rules, and that if you have an advantage, you want to use it. And moving on to chapter 12.6, it is competitive bidding. Now, competitive bidding is exactly what it sounds like. Bidding for a product or service that you would want or like. A business marketer must develop a price or a bid to meet a customer's particular product or service requirements. And actually, a significant volume of business commerce is transacted through competitive bidding, whether it be online or in person. Competitive bidding in a private entity centers on two types of purchases. The first type of purchase is in non-standard materials, complex fabricated products where products are made to the buyer's specifications, while the second type is in the reverse auction where many sellers bid for an order from a single buyer. Now, competitive bidding may either be in a closed or open type of commerce bidding. Now, when talking about closed bidding, you are talking about is used by businesses and government buyers and involves a formal invitation to potential suppliers to submit written and sealed bids. All bids are open and reviewed at the same time, and the contract is generally awarded to the lowest bidder who meets desired specifications. Now, even though that the lowest bidder won that contract is not guaranteed, as the buyer has the last say so in the purchase, as someone with a higher price may beat that desired specification while the lowest bidder did not beat that desired specification. Now, closed bidding can be done in an online format, as it's called an online sealed bid format, which is just a sealed bid format that is used for online auctions, which is used between just literally between the buyer and the supplier. Sustainably, now prices are usually maybe negotiated, and that when it comes to open bidding, you usually want to use this for the second type of purchase, versus when in closed bidding, that's usually the first type of purchase, as it requires a little bit more specifications, and open bidding is more of a you need a product by, and that product is usually made by a lot of suppliers. You can also do open bidding in an online open bid format, which is just suppliers are invited to bid simultaneously. There is designated time period for the contract, and the main goal is pushing the price down for that contract. Alright, continue on with chapter 12.6 with strategies for competitive bidding. Firms should really choose potential bid opportunities with care, as this could be considered a real big investment for your business and future businesses. Business marketers cut first situations in which the supplier that wins the initial contract has the advantage in securing the long-term follow-up businesses, as businesses don't really like changing all too much, so they usually stick with the same supplier until that either that product becomes obsolete or they find a better supplier with a better price. And usually the way businesses try to attract their business is often submitting attractive bids to form an initial relationship, and that initial contract will usually lead to follow business opportunities, and that in determining an initial bid strategy, the business marketer should examine the strength of the buyer-seller relationship and the probability of securing additional businesses and the expected return from that business. Alright, when finishing up with the summary, This chapter talked about the business marketer must assign pricing its role in the firm's overall marketing strategy, and that the price setting in a multidimensional decision. Price setting is a multi-dimensional decision to establish price. The manager must identify the firm's objectives and analyze the behavior, demands, cost, and competition. Competitive building is a unique feature of the business marketing calls for a unique strategy. Carefully defined objectives are the cornerstone of strategy. These objectives, combined with the malicious screening procedure, help the firm to identify projects that match with the company capability. And that was chapter 12.